Hey guys, it's Jess. Welcome back to my channel. So this is actually the second time I've had to film this voiceover. And just for reference, I walked up the stairs again, so I'm a bit puffed like I was in, I don't know, like the last voiceover. Anyway, yeah, I was about 15 minutes into the voiceover the first time I did it, and then my dear grandma interrupted me, and I don't know how to like edit voiceovers and stuff, so I had to start all over again. So the good thing is she interrupted me to go out for lunch, so I got to have lunch with my grandma, and I now have a story to tell, and the bad news is that I have to start my voiceover all over again. But anyway, I've got a story, so let's start with that. So basically, my grandma obviously doesn't really understand what YouTube is. So when I went to do my voiceover the first time, I was like, hey, I'm just doing a voiceover, so I'm going to be like recording, so just make sure you don't, like knock on the door or come in. I just need 20 minutes. And she's like, oh, okay. So I went upstairs, started recording it, and I heard my door open. And I turned around, and there is my grandma just staring at me with this really weird look on her face, as if to say, why is the door shut and you're in your bedroom talking to yourself? So we just had like an awkward eye contact moment, and I was like, I'm filming. And then she goes, oh, I'm sorry. And then she just started to whisper, as though like her whispering wouldn't be picked up somehow, and she was like, do you want to come to lunch? Quickly, get dressed. And I was like, I'm just recording something, like, how, when are we going to lunch? She's like, don't worry about that recording nonsense. Just come out to lunch with me. Quick, smart, get ready. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. So, yeah, I ended up going out for lunch with her. We went and we had, like, pasta. We got my sister as well, so it was, like, the three of us. We had a good time, so I'm happy to do my voiceover again if it means I get to have lunch with my dear grandma. So I just thought that it was funny that she literally stood in the doorway and started whispering, because she somehow thought that, like, it wouldn't be picked up if she whispered. So I just thought that was hilarious. So as I said, this is the second time doing my voiceover, so I'm trying to like remember what I said the first time, because there was some stuff that I wanted to talk about. Actually, I remember the first thing I do want to talk about. Actually, this is the second thing that I'm talking about, but you get what I'm talking about. Need to stop saying talking about. Anyway, moving on. You may, I don't know what other YouTubers you watch, but this house is quite based or inspired by, based on however you want to look at it, by a build done by Love Simply Sim. I'm going to just link that speed build down below. So basically the garden is really, really inspired by, based on that build, and the balcony's out the back as well. So if it looks really similar or the same, that's why. And I just, I wouldn't feel right kind of, I guess, copying or doing a build inspired by another person's build and not at least just like, referencing them or acknowledging them in some way. So the build that I've linked down below, check it out, it's awesome. Did a really amazing front garden that I sort of based my front garden on. And then these balcony bits at the back here, this is like pretty much copied from this Love Simply Sims video. So yeah, just wanted to pop that in there. It's linked down below, check it out. Yeah, and Love Simply Sim also did another build. It was like an asylum build, and I used that build in my asylum challenge. So, amazing builder. I'd definitely recommend checking her out. And then while we're on the recommendations topic of recommendations, whatever, I've just started watching podcasts. So I'd heard of them, and I'd just never gotten into them. And then I watched Little Simsy on YouTube, and she started this podcast called Hey Simsy, and she's like, check out my podcast. And I was like, maybe I should just like check out these podcasts. And then I was also on Reddit, and one of the Reddit users mentioned that they did a podcast as well, and I was like, all right, that's it, let's check it out, let's see what this podcast thing is all about. So I downloaded like one of the podcast apps, so it's called Castbox, and I downloaded some of these podcasts, and really, really enjoying them. They're absolutely awesome. So I just thought maybe I'll give some recommendations to podcasts. You know, because my opinion is so valuable. I've been listening to podcasts for a week now, and I feel like I'm in the perfect position just to really, really give advice on this. Anyway, so obviously Hey Simsy podcast is pretty cool. Kayla is awesome. And then if you watch Teen Mum 2 or Teen Mum OG, check out Feathers in My Hair podcast. That's a really good one. That's the one that I found out from Reddit. All right. Then another really good one is Hardcore History. And I think that, yeah, I like sort of history, and I really like maybe more like horrible history, I guess. So I'm pretty into like crime podcasts and videos, like true crime, paranormal, and yeah, like history, pretty into like, I guess, conspiracy theories and things like that. So just like that sort of stuff is what I'm interested in. So I really do like that Hardcore History podcast. So we've got Feathers in My Hair, Hey Simsy, Hardcore History, and then another really cool one, and I'm assuming that you can get this anywhere, but if you go Dr. Carl on Triple J, but triple is like the word triple, and then like J. Anyway, so Triple J is a radio station here in Australia, and there's this dude called Dr. Carl, and he comes on and he basically answers all your questions. So he's just this really smart dude that kind of has like an answer for everything. Sometimes he can't answer the question, but people go on there and they ask all sorts of questions, like why can't you look at the solar eclipse? And just trying to think of some others, like someone asked, like, why is it when I sneeze I get goosebumps? It's just like a whole heap of, yeah, just like sort of any question, and it's really, really interesting, and you learn like a whole heap of really cool facts. And then while I was doing the whole podcast recommendation thing, hang on, pause. You will notice that I have this house sort of already furnished a little bit. So like there was like some clutter items in the kitchen. There might be some furniture or decorative items in some of the other rooms, and all the wallpaper is done. This is because I furnished this entire house, and then I looked at it and I was like, I really hate this house. So like the furnishing of the house. So I ended up doing it all over again. So that's why I left some things there, because I really liked the kitchen clutter and I didn't want to have to like delete it all and then put it all back. So I think there's some clutter in the living room and there was some clutter in the kitchen. So that's just that little bit there. Anyway, unpause, back to my topic. So in case you haven't noticed, by the way, this whole voiceover is really just like recommendations. So I've done my podcast recommendations. I'm going to give you now some Netflix recommendations. And I mean, I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people have actually seen all of these things, but why not? I just said I'd talk about it. So if you haven't seen Stranger Things, check that out. That is really good. Another really good one, as I said, I'm kind of into crime, so I found this one super duper interesting. It's called Making a Murderer. If you guys haven't seen it and you're sort of into mysteries or crime, definitely check it out. It's basically, I don't want to spoil it, but it's about a guy who was wrongly convicted of a rape, and he served time in jail. And then finally they realised that it actually wasn't him, and they released him. But then after he got released from jail, this lady in their town shows up dead, and he's one of the suspects. So it's super duper interesting, definitely worth checking out. Yeah, like they're like my two. If someone's like, oh, what should I watch? I'd definitely tell them to watch Making a Murderer. Also, A Series of Unfortunate Events. That one is totally amazing. I really, really love that one. And that has Neil Patrick Harris in it. And like, who doesn't like Neil Patrick Harris? If you don't like Neil Patrick Harris, don't even comment down below. Just get out of here. No, I'm kidding. Please don't. I need the views. Oh, by the way, I'm joking. I'm totally joking. I have like a really bad sense of humour. I have that kind of sense of humour where the only person that finds me funny is me. And yes, I am the kind of person that will laugh at their own jokes. and I make jokes and people don't realise I'm joking, and then I start laughing and I'm like, dude, I'm only joking, aren't I funny? And I get lots of weird looks. So this actually happened last night. Yeah, I was out for dinner and I had like pizza, and I had like 2 pieces of pizza left over and then like some crust. And the guy comes up and he's like, oh, can I clear your plate? And I'm like, oh, actually, I'd really like to take this pizza home with me. Is that okay? And he's like, oh, yeah, sure, I'll take it out the back. And I was like, and make sure you don't forget that crust. And he just like looked at, you know, like just the chewed on crust, and he was like, oh, you want the crust? And I thought it was obvious that I was joking, but apparently it wasn't. And then I burst out laughing. I'm like, no, I'm only joking. And he just sort of like looked at me like, who is this person? And he was like, oh, okay, all right. And then just like walked off. And the whole time I was like, oh my God, how embarrassing. Because I thought it was obvious that I was joking. Plus, I also thought I was being hilarious. Apparently, it wasn't obvious I was joking, and I'm also not hilarious. But whatever, like, it made me laugh, and I think that's all that counts. I could entertain myself so easily. And then it happened again today. I was getting a coffee this morning, and I walked into I got it from like a takeaway shop, and this person was like, they were battering potato things. We call them potato scallops. It's like a little potato cake, like a flat, like a potato pancake kind of. And he was putting it in batter. So he had like this batter all over his hands, and I was like, hey, can I please get, a small flat white? And he's like, oh yeah, it's just going to be a couple minutes. And then kind of looked at his hands. And then I looked at him and I'm like, are you serious? And he got the most offensive look on his face. He's like, oh yeah, like, I'm really sorry. And then I just burst out laughing. I'm like, no, I'm only joking. And he just sort of looked at me. He's like, oh, okay. And again, I'm like, Jess, you need to stop making these not funny jokes and expecting people to understand them, because they just don't. Nobody gets my sense of humour. And like on the rare occasion I meet someone that does get my sense of humour, it's like, you are my best friend. Instantly. Yeah. Oh, and even, I don't know, I'm just the kind of person I'll make a joke and then laugh at my own joke. And then the only funny part about my joke is the fact that I thought that it was funny. I'm that person. I'm going to be, like, when I have kids, I'm going to be such an embarrassing parent. I can already see it. My mum is a really embarrassing mum. Like, I love it a bit, and she's hilarious, but she's also really embarrassing at the same time. Like, I guess now my sister and I have just learnt to, like, embrace it and laugh at it, but yeah, she can be pretty embarrassing at times. Like, we went to buy some chicken schnitzel from the butcher, and we went in there, and I just said to Mum, oh, do you reckon the chicken schnitzel will be yum? And then the guy behind the counter was like, oh, I really like these chicken schnitzels. And then all of a sudden Mum just looks at him and goes, yeah, well, they're not real chicken. And this like young dude behind the counter was like, oh, and we're like, oh my God, Mum, no one cares. And then she went on this whole rant about how that the chicken that you buy in chicken schnitzels isn't real chicken, it's processed chicken. And she was just going on and on and on about it. And this poor guy was like staring at me and my sister like, can you make her shut up, please? And it was so embarrassing. So I have a look into my future, and Mum's cool, so I guess it's alright. But damn, that girl is embarrassing. I'm actually, at the moment, I'm also pre-recording because I'm going away this weekend, going to the coast, so I'm pre-recording a little bit and just getting some stuff done. I'm only going away for like a couple nights, but I just want to be able to like just upload something and put it listed as private, and then when I'm ready for it to go public, just click it over to public and I've got the video uploaded and I don't have to like worry about all that while I'm away. And I also want to pre-record a few videos so that if I'm busy or whatever and I really want to upload a video, I've already got them there. I just flick them over to like public. So yeah, I'm doing a bit of pre-recording. So I'm actually gonna cut this voiceover a bit short just because my throat hurts and I'm really just talking crap now. I've been talking about I was talking about Netflix recommendations and gave you guys 2 recommendations because halfway through I was like, hang on, everybody already knows everything on Netflix. I don't need to talk about this. But yeah, look, I'm just going to shut up and leave it here. So you guys have an amazing day. I would love it so much if you subscribed, if you commented, if you let me know what you thought of the build, if there's anything else YouTube related that you can do that as well. I've got all my social media linked below. Check them all out. I have links to my other videos down below. I have house details listed below. Everything that you're going to need to download this house is below. I'm going to stop talking about what is on my video now, and I'm just going to go. Have a lovely day. Bye bye, guys.